Yesterday, we got serious breaking news that a man was possibly trying to assassinate Donald Trump. This would mark the third assassination attempt and the fourth plot, because there was a man who was plotting an assassination but was thwarted before anything moved forward, so we believe as of right now. And the story gets particularly crazy because the man in question claims to actually be a Trump supporter who was at a rally with legitimate VIP passes with legal firearms that they detained, arrested, they ransacked his vehicle. Now, who is telling the truth? This one's interesting. CNN is saying that this is outright a potential assassination attempt. Al Jazeera says the sheriff says it was probably preventing a third assassination attempt. This man appeared on Fox News. He is a Trump supporter who appeared at the RNC and spoke. Now, this man in question is denying everything. What to believe? I don't know. It is fascinating the corporate press would push a narrative that in some essence benefits Donald Trump. So I don't know for sure. But with the escalation of violence and conflict that we've seen in this past year and these past several years, it's hard to say. Now, yesterday I gave a speech at an event in Newtown, PA. I was talking about why I support Donald Trump, what is at stake in this election. And I mentioned when Ryan Ruth, the man who made the second attempt on Trump, was caught in Florida, the media immediately said this is not an assassination attempt. They were wrong. It was. In fact, the man had written up some letters and left evidence behind offering cash to anyone who would succeed where he had failed. It's nightmarish. With this story now, we're hearing this man on X is saying it's a lie. It's not true. He did not have any intention of assassinating Trump. And the sheriff is even saying it was only probable. So what is this? The sheriff's opinion that because some guy had a weapon in California, that he was going to make an attempt on Trump's life? I'm not going to tell you what to believe. I'm going to say I take this story with a big old grain of salt, but we will go through the story here and give a breakdown of where we're currently at, what's going on. And I got to tell you, it can happen here. What that means is, this is a great podcast about whether or not these things that happen around the world can happen in the United States, and they can. Now, Donald Trump is safe. I'm not sure this is an assassination attempt. Many on the right are saying it's not, but we'll read the story. We have this from Al Jazeera first before we get into the denials and who the individual in question is. U.S. sheriff says probably prevented third Trump assassination attempt. Suspect faces firearms charges but denies he tried to harm former U.S. president and Republican candidate. A United States sheriff has said law enforcement officers likely prevented a third assassination attempt against Donald Trump after a man was arrested with unregistered firearms near the Republican candidate's California campaign rally at the weekend. Speaking to reporters on Sunday afternoon, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco said deputies stopped the man at a security perimeter outside the former president's event in the city of Coachella a day earlier. Bianco said the suspect showed up with multiple passports with different names, an unregistered vehicle with a fake license plate, and loaded firearms. If you're asking me right now, I probably did have deputies that prevented the third assassination attempt, the sheriff told reporters. The man, identified as 49-year-old Nevada resident Vem Miller, was taken into custody without incident, the sheriff's office said in a statement earlier that day. Miller faces gun charges after he was found in possession of 2 guns and a high-capacity magazine, authorities said. He was released on bail and is scheduled to appear in court on January 2nd, 2025. Now, he was released on bail. He's not been charged with an assassination attempt. They're saying it high-capacity magazines. What does that mean? When it comes to these Democrat types, they'll say 10 or more is high capacity. I'm not kidding. That's crazy. Federal officials say Trump was not in danger after man arrested with illegal weapons near campaign rally in California. This is the narrative they're going with. Now, I've got questions. The man in question is denying everything. Vem Miller, he actually follows me on X. This is reportedly, this is his X account. I don't know that it's actually true, that it's his, but it says not Vem Miller, so it certainly must not be, probably is. Follows me, and he had tweeted, it's all a lie, statement and evidence coming shortly. Others have spoken up in defense of this man, saying he is a big Trump supporter. He is not in any way a threat to Donald Trump. But it's fascinating. Why did he have fake passports? Is that a lie or is that true? Honest question. The police are saying he did. Fake ID, fake passes. Now, this one I really love because it was initially reported that he had fake press passes. What's a fake press pass? So, well, what does that mean? Okay. Journalists at Newsweek make a press pass, and that means it's a real press pass. Nah, you're not playing this one with me, because I've been on the ground too many times, and they say this press pass is fake. And I'm like, I own a company. We give passes to our reporters so you know that they work for this company. Now, if he doesn't actually work for our company or whatever, I don't know, maybe, but I don't think there's such thing as a fake press pass. They said he had fake VIP passes. Apparently, he says they're real. He was actually given VIP passes because he's friends with people who are working these events. I am inclined to believe right now that this is fake news. It may be that this sheriff, who I believe, what do we have here? Here we go. This may be the story. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco attends Republican National Convention. I was told that he spoke there. I don't know if that's actually true or if he was speaking, but he was there. And some people have called him a lefty. Some have said that he's a right-wing guy. He's an RNC guy. It may be that if this guy is actually a Republican, he caught somebody that he thought was suspicious with all this weird stuff and assumed this is a guy trying to sneak in to take Trump's life. That's why he said probably. He doesn't know. Well, here's Newsweek. A man arrested with a loaded gun outside a Trump rally has denied he was intending to assassinate the former president. Vem Miller, 49 of Las Vegas, was arrested Saturday at a checkpoint in Coachella Valley after he was allegedly found illegally in possession of a shotgun, a loaded gun. So we know this. Chad Bianco, the Riverside County Sheriff, said probably stopped an assassination. Speaking to Fox News Digital over the phone, Miller, who later released, said that he was 100% a Trump supporter and that he has no intention of trying to shoot the former president at the Coachella Valley event. I always travel around with my firearms in the back of my truck. I've literally never even shot a gun in my life. I don't know anything about guns. I am beyond a novice. I don't know that I buy this. Brother, I don't know that I buy it. You've got a loaded shotgun and a handgun in the back of your vehicle, loaded. You've never fired them? I got to tell you, my friends, you shouldn't be driving around with loaded weapons if you've never gone to a range and taken a safety class, and you got to know what you're doing, okay? Beyond a novice? Look, I think it's everyone's right to keep and bear arms. I just think in this instance, I strongly encourage you to get proper training. A lot of people recommend gun insurance. They have these gun clubs where you pay a certain amount a month, and then anything happens with your firearm, they cover legal costs. I don't think anybody who's been a novice should be traveling around with guns in the back of their car that are loaded. But you do have a right to do so. I don't want to take that away from anybody and push any slippery slopes. I'm just saying, please make sure you're trained. Two unnamed sources close to the Trump campaign told Fox News they do not believe the incident in Coachella was an assassination attempt on the former president. So it looks like this is the man in question. I do think there are weird things about this, but I'm not inclined to believe it was an assassination attempt. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department said Miller was taken into custody without incident on suspicion of possession of a loaded firearm and possession of a high-capacity magazine. This incident did not impact the safety of former President Trump or attendees of the event. In a joint statement, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Secret Service, and FBI said that the incident did not impact protective operations and former President Trump was not in any danger. I got to stress this too, brother. If you are not really, intending to do anything like this and you just had these weapons, let me just say this to you and literally everybody else. Do not bring loaded weapons to a Trump rally. I mean, come on. At the bare minimum, come on. Considering everything that's happened, what if someone were to break into your car and take a loaded weapon? You don't bring a loaded weapon to a Trump. I'm sorry. Look, I know there's going to be a lot of people saying I have a right to keep and bear arms. I can bear arms where I please. I do not believe it is appropriate to bring a loaded weapon to a Trump rally right now. And if you get arrested, I'm sorry, man. There have been 2 attempts on his life, and there has been a plot against him. And there's 5 teams, multiple reports. Trump is surrounded by security. You may be thinking I have a legal right to keep and bear arms. Yes, and Trump has a right to security because people are literally trying to kill him right now. And I think it's fine to say you do have a right to keep and bear arms. If Trump wants to hold an event and have it in a private space, I personally am of the opinion that people should, like if I'm going to do an event, the only restrictions we ever have in firearms is because of insurance companies and security companies, and we can't get around it. But morally, I believe you should have a weapon. It's your right to keep and bear arms to protect yourself. If I don't want to go out in public, I'm scared, I won't do it. But I walk down the street every single day and people know who I am. So I'm not worried about my own supporters being at my event. I'm worried about some crackpot who hides outside my house. However, that being said, Donald Trump has security. When we were at the Rescue the Republic event, they had bulletproof glass for RFK Jr. and for many of the other speakers. I mean, that is terrifying. Okay, so I just say this. Right now, by all means, you can tell me I'm wrong. Please do so. Comment. Tell me I'm wrong. You think people should be allowed to keep and bear arms. It is their right. They can do so. And if Trump wants to be in public, I disagree. I think it is probably a bad idea to bring your weapon to a Trump rally. Just going to say it. I don't know, man. And because this is what happens. If someone broke into your car and took that weapon, we had a guy in Vegas. I mean, you could argue that there's been many attempts on Trump's life. A guy in Vegas in 2015 tried taking a gun from a cop. Imagine if someone brought a weapon, someone saw it in their car, smashed the window or broke in, grabbed it and went inside. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. Trump's going to be around a lot of areas and people can have weapons. He goes to a grocery store, but they got to secure these things. So it is a difficult position. Do you just not defend yourself and maintain your rights because Trump may be around? I am going to take a less libertarian hardcore approach on this and say I think it's probably makes a lot of sense to not have those weapons when you are going in the presence of Donald Trump. He is running for office and people are trying to take his life. Okay, I said it. Miller was released Saturday on $5,000 bail and is scheduled to appear at the Indio Larson Justice Center on January 2nd, 2025, according to Riverside County Sheriff's Department inmate database. Newsweek has contacted Miller's office, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, and the FBI for further comment. Miller told Fox News that he purchased firearms for protection after getting death threats due to his work in the media. Miller founded the America Happens Network in 2007. The network produces a series of online shows and podcasts under its motto, Rage Against the Mainstream Media. Authorities said Miller tried to gain entry to the rally with fake press passes. Miller denied the passes. The driver's license and passports he had were fake. He said he's Armenian, and some of his legal documents use his full Armenian name. This is just crazy. Is this an overzealous sheriff who's like, what's this name? That's not you. And he's like, that's Armenian, dude. Yeah, he also said he was previously a Democrat and had supported Obama, but is certainly more Republican now and was all in with Trump by 2018. This is a man that I deeply admire because I was a closet individual in terms of my beliefs. Because I worked in Hollywood, as my politics started to change, I realized that Hollywood is a homogenous community. Miller denied suggestions from Bianco that he's connected to the sovereign citizen movement. He also dismissed accusations from the sheriff that he's part of any far-right group. Government is an inanimate object. It's the individuals within government that matter. So no, I'm not part of any of that. They're saying that I'm part of these right-wing anti-government groups. Why aren't they naming these groups? Because it doesn't exist. Yo, this is crazy. They're trying to. Does this sheriff just want the press attention? Like, what is going on? I honestly can't tell you. I can't tell you. This is a wild story. So, I mean, apparently from his own account on X, people have posted saying that this is his account on X. I believe that I thought I had a post from Mindy Robinson pulled up. I guess I don't. He's saying, someone said, you need to apologize for trying to assassinate our dear president. He says, I didn't. It's all a lie. Statement and evidence coming shortly. So I hope this guy, comes out and shows everybody it's not true. He says, I didn't. Stand by the truth is coming shortly. This is a guy who I believe he follows the show. Probably he follows me. I'm not inclined to believe this is again. I'll say it. I'm not sure this is an assassination attempt. Okay. Now I've been hearing the sheriff's a lefty. He's like an anti-gun lefty. Well, we have this from KESQ. This is from July 16th. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco is at the RNC in Milwaukee. Each day is a theme of playing off former President Trump's tagline, and Tuesdays was Make America Safe Once Again, something Bianco thinks will help conservatives win in November. This year's RNC is welcoming Riverside County's top cop among the thousands of attendees. I'm excited to be here. I was excited to learn that I was picked to come, and it's been great so far. When former President Trump did come out, what was the energy like there in the crowd, Jennifer asked. It was extremely loud. They were very excited. There were a lot of people crying. It was an emotional time. It was a happy time. His family was there, Bianco said. Bianco says the state of politics in the U.S., along with recent events, will play a role in getting Americans out to the polls this November. There are people that are saying that I'm switching from Democrat. I cannot support that anymore, and I will be voting Trump, Bianco said. And that's true. In the end, it's like, well, I guess that makes perfect sense. He's young, successful. He's a military veteran of J.D. Vance. He's a regular, normal person. Here's what I think. This sheriff likes Trump. I don't think he's a lefty. I think he was running security and he saw a guy and he overreacted. I think he ends up seeing stuff where passports he doesn't understand, press passes from companies he never heard of. I don't know why he assumed that the VIP passes to the event were fake. But he may be thinking, with everybody riled up over the assassination attempts, he may be thinking like, To a hammer, everything looks like a nail, I guess. He may be thinking this is it. I bet he went to that event and he was very scared that someone would try to make an attempt on Trump. Sees this, says, we got one. And maybe he was just wrong. I do got to say, man, I don't know why you'd be going to a Trump rally with weapons. Now, I get it, dude. But look, I was at the Butler, PA rally. You got snipers, counter snipers on the rooftops all over the place. You don't want to be bringing weapons into there, dude. But I'm sure a lot of people did. It's Butler, PA. They probably had their weapons in their cars. That's tough to say. You know, it is. I've heard way too many stories of people who have, there's a very famous story of a woman who had a weapon, lived in Texas, and the restaurant she was going to said, we don't allow weapons, so she put it in her car. While in the restaurant, a shooting happened, and she was thinking like, I could stop this, but my weapon's not with me. And so that's a terrifying thing. Why tell good people who have good intentions not to defend themselves and others because one person, I don't know. I would just say this, right? My opinion is when Trump's trying to buy Secret Service, we want Secret Service to be in control. So anybody who's there, like look what happens with Butler, PA the first time. Donald Trump, you got local law enforcement, you got Secret Service. Who's in control? It was split. A lot of questions about that, right? I think we're better off if Secret Service are in control. They want to know who's got firearms and that they're under the command of Secret Service to a certain degree. That Secret Service can say, you stand over there. My understanding with all of these attempts and everything, people have said Secret Service doesn't want any other law enforcement in. This happened with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Because if a gun goes off, they want to know who it is. And if they say, who fired, and every Secret Service says, not us, they can know that they have an incident. But if you got local law enforcement down there with weapons, they might not know and they lack communication. So don't know for sure. The question is, here's one on Reddit. Do you think there will be a civil war after the election? What are you going to do when it starts and how will it affect the culture? Very funny way to phrase it. This is from 8 months ago. Interesting. A lot of people are saying, nothing's going to happen. Nothing can happen. Maybe. But there's a podcast called It Can Happen Here. And the Huffington Post ran this article a couple of weeks ago. It can't happen here, right? Right? Certainly it can. January 6th, terminating the Constitution, rounding up 21 million people. America, we've got some bad news. The adage is old enough to have been lampooned in the title of Sinclair Lewis' 1935 novel, It Can't Happen Here. That it was back when he was imagining a fascist takeover, writing 13 years after Benito Mussolini seized power in Italy, barely a year after Hitler installed himself as dictator of Germany, and just before Francisco Franco and his nationalists overthrew the Spanish Republic. Lewis spelled out in dystopian detail how it indeed could well have happened in America too. 9 decades later, it is also what dozens of Republican donors, campaign consultants, pollsters, and others interviewed by the Huffington Post say cannot possibly happen. They scoff at any analogy between the former President Trump, a man they support, and infamous dictators. Well, they're wrong. It can't happen here. I don't think it'll be Trump. There's things I disagree with Trump on. He called for the death penalty for migrants that kill American citizens. I do not agree with the death penalty. And I think that's too aggressive a statement, and it needs to be countered. I believe Donald Trump's true intention was illegal immigrant criminals who kill Americans or police should get the death penalty. I don't like the death penalty, so I'm not going to agree with that. But I do want to make sure we steel man the argument. Regardless of steel manning it, I think it's important to say, I don't think we should, I think that should be clarified at the very least. I do not want to live in a country where, some woman in the country, a legal migrant, gets into a car accident killing an American, so she gets a death penalty. That's ridiculous. I don't think anybody thinks that's reasonable. That being said, okay, then there should be no problem stating that. If you agree with Donald Trump on the idea, the steel man idea, that an illegal immigrant Venezuelan gang member or criminal who comes here should receive the death penalty if they are convicted of killing an American or a police officer, then I think most people are going to respect that to varying degrees. I am anti-death penalty, but I understand why people would feel that way. I think it's fine if you feel that way. I will say, okay, I certainly understand. I do disagree with the death penalty. I think deportation is still the best method, and there should be, or I understand the challenge. I do. I don't have good answers for you. I just don't want the death penalty because I don't trust the government to kill people. I just don't. That being said, if the argument is even accidentally that, some migrant woman on a tourist visa runs someone over on accident, she can get the death penalty. Nobody agrees with that. It should not be an issue to say we all don't agree with that. I think that's fair. That being said, it can't happen here. Certainly it can, and I feel like we're watching it happen. We are watching the machine state. You know, it's absolutely fascinating to me. I saw this clip earlier of the guitarist from The Offspring. He calls himself Noodles. His name's Kevin. Kevin was asked, what is punk rock? And he's like, defying conventions. When they say you can't do it, say, why can't I do it? Shut up, dude. You kicked out your drummer because his doctor told him he was ineligible for the vaccine. He didn't even have a choice. And you were like, you can't be in the band. Bro, you are a bootlicker. These people are marching in lockstep with the machine state and want to pretend like Trump's the problem. Spare me the BS. Now, whether or not Trump's life is in danger is not up for debate. It is. So I don't blame a sheriff who sees this stuff and says, this looks like an assassination attempt. But I also think it's fair to say if it wasn't, we give this guy's opportunity to explain what was going on. And I'd hate to see someone smeared simply for exercising their right to keep and bear arms. I think it's in poor taste to bring a weapon to a Trump rally. I think it's going to result in problems like this. And especially at a time when Trump's life in danger, it's a bad idea. But I'm going to wrap it up there. Now, I will add, studio broke this morning, but our clever team, our crafty team was able to get it fixed and get it up and running. So we're here. I will not be going live, and I will then instead just be producing segments as I was before. And this may be the path forward, just in terms of producing as much as possible. The goal is going to be to have a show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which means I will be recording 7 shows in 4 days. Not to mention Timcast IRL. So that means we'll be doing 7, 12, plus Culture War, 13 shows a week. That's amazing. Maybe we should add Timcast IRL to our weekends and just go 15. No, I think Allison would would not be happy with that. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for hanging out. We got it up. We got the show up. We'll try. Next segment will be coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe to this channel. Share the show with all your friends. I'm going to say it. I know that there are, 4 to 5 million people who watch this channel who don't subscribe for whatever reason. Subscribe. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you all in the next segment.